Alright guys, today we're working on a 2006 Ford Explorer. The radio was installed about 2 weeks ago, and one morning this week it just stopped working. So we're going to open it up and see what's wrong with it. Now the first thing you have to do in order to remove all of this, you have to remove this cover right here. And that's removed with a screwdriver. Just pops right up. The second thing you need to do is remove 2 clips from the center. There's one right here, and there should be another one right here, but we're missing that one, so we're about to remove that. And we need a 7mm screw. I'm gonna go right in here. Very gently remove the screw. Now once you remove these screws, you want to put these somewhere where they're not going to get lost. Once you remove that, if you have anything connected in a cigarette lighter, you want to remove that, put it aside, and then just slowly lift this up. It just pops up. It has clips, and it just pops up. Now you want to be very gentle, because you have the cigarette lighter connector right in there, and you remove that by simply, see this right here, you push it in and pull out. So you push that in and gently pull out. It's kind of hard doing it with one hand, but there you go, we got it. So see a little clip in there? I get stuck in there. Just push, pull. Alright, we want to set this aside since we're not going to be using that. Now the second thing we're going to do is remove this center one, the one that's attached to the radio, and you do so by simply pushing it out or pulling it out towards you very gently. Remember, all this is plastic and this is held on by clips, so we don't want to break things. Okay, and once you have it, somewhat sticking out, the next step is to turn the car slightly on and press on the brake and put the car in neutral. And you do this, or you can always put it on 1 so that you have more play area, more room to move this. Okay, so when you remove this and you pull it out, you have the airbag connector right in here. Okay, so there's a small clip back here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. You just push that in and push it out. Push in. So you see this right here. You want to push that little black clip in and pull it out, and that's it. And you want to be very careful with this. And what I like to do is I just stick that in there because it has its own little area, and we can work on the radio just fine. I don't like removing any of this because we have enough room to where if I put this on the side, I can put the car back on park and we're good to go. Turn the car back off, and then we just got to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and this is gonna pop right out. Okay, it always helps to have an extension, and again, it's a 7mm screw, which just go in here, gently remove each one. I like to work by removing the opposite ends first, and when I screw it on, I also remove. When I screw it back in, I also do it like this. Okay, now you want to be very careful, because these screws, since we removed the center console, this can go in here and cause other type of damage, which you don't want to do. So okay, just gonna keep on twisting it until it comes out. Now this is just a plastic cover that comes with the radio. Set that aside, and we're gonna pull the radio out and see what's wrong with it, why it's not working. And the first thing we want to look at is the connections. Connections are attached. Now in this radio we have this connector right here, which goes in here, and you just pull it out by pressing this in. It lifts up and pushing it out. And we have a 15 in here. I'm gonna remove this and see if it's burnt or not. And it looks good to me, so that's not the issue. Back. You just want to make sure that everything is nice and snug, and try to figure out why it's not working. Okay, so you want to check all the adapters and make sure everything is plugged in. In this case, it's nice and tight, hasn't moved. So since we removed everything and we plugged everything back in, what we're going to do is going to start the car up and see if it turns on. There you go. And it works. I know, I hate that beep sound. It's somewhat annoying. Okay,
First free call. The more you owe, the more you can save. If you have at least $10,000 or more in credit card bills, this debt forgiveness program can be very effective.
There you go, it's working.
For free information and find out more now. 800-375-1175. There is no cost or obligation for the information. Don't wait. Call 800-375-1175. That's 800-375-1175.
Let's check. Make sure navigation is working.
Call 800-375-1175.
Now you want to test everything out, make sure everything is correctly working before you put this back in. Just because if something's wrong, you want to fix it before you put it back in. There you go. So we're good. Now we just put everything back in. And make sure that you turn off the switch in the car. You don't want to have that on. And when you're plugging everything back in, you want to make sure everything goes in nice and smooth. Make sure nothing is moved in here, because if something moves, then that's the reason why it's not working right. Alright. Now I've gently put this back in. As you can see, it's still not set in there, so it was falling. And then once you have that in there, you want to start the car up one more time. And just make sure that this turns on, because if this doesn't turn on, then you might have something unplugged in the back, or a cable cut, spliced, not making contact, and that may be the reason why the radio is not working. So now that we have this back on, we're going to reinstall everything back the way it was. Now I'm going to put the screws back in, and like I said before, you have to be very careful when you do this, because the screws can easily fall. So just put one by one. Alright, so we put back 1, 2, 3, 4 back screws, and this is nice and snug and tight. It's not moving side to side. I pull it out and it's not moving, so that means we did good. Now the last thing you want to do, obviously, is put everything back together. So we have to turn the car on and go to 1. If you put it in 1, it's easier to put this back, or at least for me it is. This is just snapping back on. Fairly easy to do. Put the car back in park. And once we put everything back together, don't forget to screw in the cigarette lighter, which goes right in here, back together. You just pop that in, make sure it clicks, pull it back, make sure it's nice and steady, and this clips right back in here. Perfect. We put the metal piece right back. Doesn't go one way, it goes in the other way. And that's it. And then we just screw that back in and we're all good to go.